everyone. Welcome to Retro Gaming Corner. I'm back after a long hiatus. If you didn't know, I had another channel, which is my second passion, doing vinyl records. And so if you're into vinyl records, please check out Flash Gordon's One Record at a Time. I didn't forget you guys, and I didn't forget my other passion, which are retro games and retro computers and games. So I'm back, and I figured I'd start off. It's been a while. It's been over a year since I posted my last video, but I figured I'd start back and show you this awesome Apple IIe, which I always wanted as a kid, but never got. I was a Commodore 64 user, and the reason why I'm showing this is I'm going to show you a game I used to love back in the day on the Commodore, but now, obviously, on the Apple IIe. You're looking at an Apple IIe that I got here. Let me show you. That was a filthy mess. I got it for 40 bucks. Actually, the guy wanted 50. I talked him down, and it was complete with 2 disk drives. It's an Apple IIe. I brought it home, not expecting it to fire up. He said it did work, and it did. It fired up, and you're seeing the Apple II screen. It's waiting for input. The only thing is the power supply there has just a crack on the side, but I have the piece of plastic for it, and I just need to re-glue it on there. But other than that, the power supply works. It's just cracked. And there's your 2 disk drives, floppy drives, 5 1/4. And what we're going to load and play is Zork 2 for the Apple II. And I had trouble getting the floppy disk. As you know, they lose their magnetic media over time. This is an original disc, as you see, Zork 2 for the Apple II. My computer has a whopping 128K. It does do 40 and 80 column. It has the board in there. And we're going to go ahead and load this. Now, I know this works. I got this disc working. It wasn't working before, but I did some research and I found out that you can actually clean these floppy disks by cleaning the exposed magnetic strip right there with some Q-tips and some rubbing alcohol. And it's kind of a tedious process. You got to hold this, you put your finger in there and you spin it a little bit, you clean it, spin it, clean it. And I actually brought this disc back to life, and it does load, which was pretty cool. So we're going to play Zork 2. We're going to load it up and just check it out. As you know, it's by Infocomm, and they're interactive fiction, if you didn't know. These were their best sellers, Zork 1, 2, and 3, which I do have. Believe it or not, Zork 2, I also have an additional copy here for the Apple II. And this is complete in box, and it's an interactive fantasy. This is an advanced level, the second one. And it does open up like a book, and it has kind of the goofy little insert and booklet. This basically tells you about the game, how to communicate with it, kind of like the instructions. The Wizard of Frobos. This is the second one. The Gray Mountains has kind of just some information and stuff, some silliness to it, and what they call feelies that come with it. And this is Zork 2, and it's the next step downward to danger. And what came in there is also this, which is amusement park brochure for Bosbarland, a futuristic fantasy amusement park in the Great Underground Empire. Kind of like a fictitious flyer. You open it up there, and the haunted house, and it shows you the Bosbarland Casino, Midway, and the roller coaster and stuff. So it came with that, and it also came with the Great Underground Empire's Winter Wonderland for skiing and stuff. And I'll show you that. And there are the ski trails. And that's the brochure there. So it did come with that too, and obviously the floppy disk. So we're going to put this in, and we're going to load the game Zork 2 and play it for a little bit. And I just want to welcome everybody back. I hope everybody's doing fine. So you're going to put the 5 1/4 floppy in. You're going to push it in. If nobody knows, lock it in. Okay, now we're going to hit the 3 keys to reboot it here, which is the Apple key here, a Control, Apple key open, and Apple key closed. And, or I'm sorry, I believe it's this one here and this one. No? I'm back. So you do hit the 3 keys. You hit Control down there, Control, the open Apple key, and the solid Apple key. And then you're presented with this. It says 80 columns. Yes, because I have the 80 columns card, so I'm going to hit yes. And the floppy disk is spinning. And let's see what happens. And it's loading the game right here. All right, and it says Zork 2, The Wizard of Frobos, up here, 1981 to 1983, Infocomm, and it says inside the barrow. So it says you are inside an ancient barrow hidden deep within a dark forest. The barrow opens into a narrow tunnel and its southern end. You can see a faint glow at the far end. A strange, familiar brass lantern is lying on the ground. A sword of elvenish workmanship is on the ground. So let's see what we want to do. Obviously, we want to pick up the lantern. So we're going to say get space lantern. Lantern. Hit enter. Disk drive spins. And we've taken the lantern. Now I want to get the sword. So get sword. Hit enter. Taking the sword. Now, if you want to check your score, obviously there's a score up here from completing puzzles and tasks. So this is 0 out of 2. That will go up. And this is one of the harder advanced level games, Zork 2. So let's see. Now we want to look again. So hit L. You don't have to type in look. You can just type in L. I'm going to hit enter. And it says you're inside an ancient barrow hidden deep within a dark forest. The barrow opens to a narrow tunnel at the southern end. You see a faint glow at the far end. So we're going to go south. So I'm going to hit S. Go south. And it says I'm in a narrow tunnel. It says you are standing at the southern end of a narrow tunnel where it opens into a wide cavern. The cavern is dimly illuminated by phosphorescent mosses clinging to its high ceiling. A deep ravine winds through the cavern with a small stream at the bottom. The walls of the ravine are steep and crumbly. A footbridge crosses the ravine to the south. So we can go south, and obviously I can check the illuminated phosphorescent mosses, and it's not going to tell you anything. But we can type in score and see how our score is going. And it says your score is 0 out of 400 points in 4 moves. So obviously, and it gives you a rank here. You're the rank of beginner. And obviously, as you solve more puzzles and complete more of these quests, mini quests in here, you get more points up to the 400. So that's how you do score. So we're going to go south again and go from the narrow tunnel to the footbridge, south. Now we're at the footbridge. You are standing on a crude but sturdy wooden footbridge crossing a deep ravine. The path runs north and south from here. So let's go south again. All right, we're in a great cavern. This is the center of a great cavern, carved out of the limestone, stalactites and stalagmites. Let me turn the light off and see if we can get a better picture here. A little bit. We're viewing this on an original Apple II monochrome monitor. I do have a color one that I can plug in down the road, but we're in the Great Cavern, and it says, this is the center of a great cavern carved out of the limestone. Stalactites and stalagmites of many sizes are everywhere. The room glows with dim light provided by phosphorescent moss, and weird shadows move all around you. A narrow path winds southwest along the stalactite. Now, obviously, I'd be taking out some graph paper and mapping this. I do have the maps, original maps from Infocomm I ordered, in VisiClues. We'll get into that later, which basically give you hints and stuff in the map. So let's go southwest. All right, so we're going to go southwest, so SW from the Great Cavern, and follow the narrow path. Now we're at a shallow ford. It says, you are at the southern edge of a great cavern. To the south across a shallow ford is a dark tunnel, which looks like it was once enlarged and smooth. To the north, a narrow path winds along stalagmites. Dim light illuminates the cavern. So you are on the southern edge of a great cavern. So I think we want to continue south across the shallow ford. Now, I don't know if we should light our lantern and then go south, or just go for it. I think I'm just going to go for it. I know when you're in the dark all the time, you get eaten by a grue, which is one of the creatures that lives in the dark. So let's go south from the shallow ford, and let's see where we're at. Uh-oh. You have moved into a dark place. It is pitch black. You are likely to be eaten by a grue. See? A strange little man in a long cloak appears suddenly in the room. He is wearing a high-pointed hat embroidered with astrological signs. He has a long, stringy, and unkempt beard. The wizard draws forth his wand and waves it in your direction. It begins to glow with a faint blue glow. The wizard, almost inaudibly, whispers a word beginning with F and then disappears, chuckling nastily. You rush at the wizard, intending to tear him limb from limb. The wizard mumbles something under his breath, and just before you reach him, he vanishes. So I think we should turn on, before we get eaten by a grue, turn on lantern. Disk drive spins. The lamp is now on. So we're in a dark tunnel. Now, if I wanted to save this, I would insert a floppy disk, and then I would type in save, and then you insert to this, and it would save the point from there on. Again, we're in the dark tunnel with dim light to the northeast. The tunnel is smooth, twigs and leaves. Tunnel branches in the wide corridor leaving southwest, and a narrow one leading southeast. So let's try going southeast. We're in the north end of a garden. This is the northern end of a formal garden. Hedges hide the cavern walls, and if you don't look up, the illusion is of a cloudy day outside. The light comes from a large growth of growing mosses on the roof of the cave. A break in the hedge is almost overgrown to the north. A carefully manicured path leads south. In the center of the rosebud is a small open structure painted white. It appears to be a gazebo. So let's examine the gazebo. E-X-A-M-I-N-E. Examine gazebo. There's nothing special about the gazebo. So, all right, so folks, so I'm not going to play this game the entire way through, but you kind of get a sense of the Infocomm interactive text games. They're very well written. It's kind of like reading a novel. It puts your mind into the game. Zork 1, 2, and 3. It was, Infocomm were a bunch of MIT guys, and they made some great interactive fiction games. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Zork series, just tons and tons of really cool games. But obviously, when the fad disappeared, so did the company. But again, this is Zork 2 on the Apple II. And I do have an Amiga 1500, so I will be showing games from them too. But let me just show you what games I do have by Infocomm really quick. I'll grab them and show you. But I think I might go on and continue playing this game after I log off, because this is a lot of fun, and I do not remember these games, but let me show you what I got, though, folks. But these are not all for the Apple. These are for the Amiga. And so let me show you what I got. First off are these Invisiclues. These were hint books that came with a marker, and you would take the book, and here's Zork 2. I believe this is the map for Zork 2, which is cool. These are very hard to find and going up in price. And then you open it up here, and this will show you the map of this game, which is nifty. And there it is there. The Zork 2 map. Very cool in the legend there. But that's the map for Zork 2. And those would come with Invisiclues, or you can order those separately. And the Invisiclue booklets, they basically look like that. And you would open them up, and they would give you little tiny hints. And something like, you know, what is the timber for? How do I use the mallet? And eventually down to the bottom where they would give you, you would use the marker and it would say, it would reveal the text. And it would slowly give you the answer, but chip it away as not to spoil it instantly. And that's, you know, for all the problems. And that one's for Zork 1. And then I have the Visi Clue books for Planetfall, which was another awesome Infocomm game, and Ballyhoo. And then the games I do have, Infocomm games, are, I have a Zork 3. This is for the Amiga. See, there's Zork 3. Zork 1. In my earlier video, I go through all of these, but there's Zork 1. That's for the Amiga on the 3.5-inch floppy. Zork 1 is my favorite, obviously. Then there's Ballyhoo. And that's for the Amiga. That's kind of like a carnival game. Wishbringer. Very cool game. This is an introductory game. And that's Wishbringer. And that is for the Amiga. And then Enchanter. Another great game. And that is standard level. And again, that's for the Amiga. So that's cool. And then a favorite of mine, a huge Douglas Adams fan, and this is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the Amiga. So I do, if you notice, I'm a big fan of the Infocomm games. And they came out with 2 later games, too. One of them is Beyond Zork, here, where they started adding some graphics, see, later on in the game. And then another one is, this one is Zork 0. And that is also for the Amiga. So there you go, just a quick overview of Infocomm and my new Apple II, well, my old Apple II restored, playing Zork 2. So there you go, I mean, I'm back. And I'll be doing some retro gaming reviews on everything, from the NES to the Vectrex, to the Bally, Astrocade, Neo Geo, the Fairchild Entertainment System, Atari 800, handhelds, Atari 26, 58, 7800, all different kinds of wonderful stuff. Son of a...